guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It has been a really busy week, and I feel like we've finally turned the corner into spring. It feels like last week was still kind of winter, and this week is spring.
Well, it's sunny and 70, so
it is. It's beautiful.
Definitely feels like spring. In fact, like the guys painting the house, like I know from working on the hot side of the house, even at 70 degrees, if you're working on the south side of the house, right? Yeah. Like it gets hot.
It does.
It gets really hot.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The house is being painted this week. They started Monday. I don't know that they're going to be completely finished because they're doing some minor repairs too. Like they're replacing some of the fascia board and some of the bottoms of our columns out there, which is awesome that they do that in addition to painting. So it's going to feel so good.
It needed to be painted so bad.
Yeah. I posted a reel of just them getting started, and that was post them scraping. So our house didn't look that bad. I think some people thought, like, I would never let my house get that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't actually look that bad. They had already scraped, but it needed to be scraped. There was bubbled up paint everywhere. Yeah. Some spots where it was starting to kind of flake off.
I have a question, though. I don't know anything about painting, and I suppose I could ask them, but it seems like they scrape some areas, but not 100%. Like they don't scrape, you know what I mean?
They probably know what they can.
Like the parts that are worth it to scrape, or?
Well, they also, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing so as well. I also wanted to mention before we jump into the videos from last week that we have been running a sale on Greenstock Vertical Gardens, our brand new product, which is a basket weave design on both the original vertical garden and the leaf one, which is a little bit shorter. I don't know if it's shorter. It is shorter a bit.
It's slightly shorter.
The reservoirs are a little less deep, and you get you get like 42 planting holes on that one.
Do you think that would be better for strawberries to have more planting holes?
Yeah, strawberries are shallow rooted. Yeah, that would be perfect, and you can do 42 plants in there. But anyway, we're doing 35% off on our website, gardenanswer.com, through Tuesday, the 26th.
Which is massive in terms there won't be another sale that's that much off for a year probably.
Yeah, so if you've been on the fence about trying one, getting one for yourself, or even getting one for a Mother's Day present for somebody, it would be a really great time to do that.
And there's no code. Prices are what they are.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes it way easier.
Yeah. We're going to stop doing codes, I think, for when things go on sale.
We'll just adjust the price on the website so
makes
nobody
it so much easier. People just add it to the cart, check out. You don't have to worry about typing in some dumb code.
Yeah. I think that's it for announcements for this week. If I'm moving around, it's because Douglas he's circling my legs right now, and he's really rubbing on me hard. Oh, now he's laid down. Hey, dude, we have the door open to the studio because it's so nice out there. Okay, so first video was potting up mint and a little bit more South Garden flower bed cleanup. So we potted up the lavender mint and Swiss Ricola mint that I had recently picked up in a shopping trip that we went on together, and just talked through why mint needs to be in a pot because it's so incredibly invasive and aggressive, and they've already grown. They're already starting to fill out those pots, and they looked so dinky. The pots were this big, and the mint plant was this big.
Is it invasive here?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
But not it doesn't go wild.
Oh, it can.
Only if it gets water, though.
Right.
Sure.
Correct. Yeah, not natively. It's not native plant here, but so long as it gets enough moisture, it will take over the land for sure. Shelley Hall said, does catmint grow the same way? Should those be in pots too? The varieties that I'm familiar with, most of the ones I think that are available at garden centers are not aggressive like the other mint plants. I think there might be a type that is, though, so just be mindful of it. It will usually say, sometimes it'll say on the tag if it is or not. My three sons, 10, said I have 3 first-year hydrangeas, and they are about 12 to 18 inches tall, and I'm afraid to trim them. How far back do you recommend trimming them back? The branches are not very robust yet, and I'm a little nervous about it. If they don't need to be trimmed, that's really little. I don't know that you even really need to worry about it. If I were to come in and trim those, if they were mine, I might take off a little bit just to what that does is sends more energy into new growth. I don't know how, but it just kind of makes the branches thicken up a little bit. So you could do that, just minimal trimming, or just leave them alone. Angela Martin said, I have made this same mistake with mint before. I talked about the very first garden that we had at the townhouse rental that we were in. Mm-hmm. I had, what do you think that garden space was? 10 by 10?
Oh, no. It was 6 by 6.
No way. Really?
It was really tiny.
And I planted a mint plant in there. Oh, I knew better. I knew better than to do that. Anyway. I'm interested in the mint rucola. I've never seen it before. Where did the garden center order it from? All of those came from a place called Blooming Nursery. In fact, they just delivered another load this morning, and I went and picked up more of the Creeping Veronica, which we just planted. We quartered those out of the 4-inch container. I was able to get 4 plants from it, and we put those out in the south garden, but I had already pre-ordered 5 flats, so I've got a whole bunch of them to plant out because it's a stunning plant. Anyway, so Blooming Nursery, they grow everything cold, so they're protected, like I think in cold frames, but they're not heated, so the plants are usually a lot stronger to start off. And they have such a wide range of varieties, and that Swiss rucola mint is just the sweetest, it's the most like gum smelling mint that I've ever smelled. Like it has that sweet side to it. Laura Green said, when I was a child, I remember my grandfather pruning back his roses in the fall and covering them with small white upside down containers, looking like small trash cans. They lived in northern Illinois. Do you know why they used to do that and what has changed? You know, there are things called rose collars, and we sell them, or I say we. My parents sell them down at the garden center, and they're these little things. They're like kind of corrugated plastic, where you cut your rose back, and then you put this rose collar around it, and then you fill it full of mulch or leaves just to protect the crown of the plant. So I can totally see the upside down containers just being a kind of a mini greenhouse or a cold frame to keep the roses safe, especially if in Illinois, I don't know what zone you are there, but I'm guessing like a 5.
Probably 5.
Something right around in there. So that's probably not a bad idea. And then you can take them off in the spring once it warms up and let them do their thing. Nat said, we recently moved into a new house and the people before planted mint in the ground. We've tried digging it up, but it still comes back. Any tips to get rid of it permanently? I feel like that's a loaded question.
Burn it to the ground.
If you wanted a permanent solution that was fast, but also on the organic side of things, you could do Dead Weed Brew. It's a Bonide product, and you're in the UK, so I don't know if Bonide products...
Oh, no, probably not.
But you might be able to get a hold of something akin to that, maybe the same. Check with your garden center there and see if there's a natural broadleaf weed killer.
Dig farther.
Well, you could just keep digging. I mean, the more you're at it, the more you'll weaken the plant. So, but you just can't let it go. Like if you see a whiff of it coming back, you got to get out there and take care of it before it has a chance to grow up and spread more roots. It happens really fast. So it's something like I would be out there every couple of days looking at it and just digging up anything that comes up in the area, and eventually you'll eradicate it. It's just one of those things that takes some perseverance to get through. Jeannie Adams said, quick question about your Limelight PrimeHydranges. Will the little skinny stems ever bulk up if they're cut back to a stronger node? My plants are a couple of years old. Yeah, some of them will do that. I felt like mine, so in this, the second half of this project, we went out and I really trimmed up the Limelight Primes that were out there, and they had created like this little network of really spindly stems, but then there were some nice big stems coming up, and that's what I want to have continue to grow. So I cut out most of those stems. However, if there is a stem filling a gap that you kind of want for the shape of your plant, but it's kind of spindly, you can leave it, and it will, like most things, it'll continue to grow and it will get thicker over time. And I do that with like climbing roses and things like that too. There might be a spindly branch or two that I leave because it's going in the direction I want it to go. And we just kind of help those along until they get there. Next video is cut flower garden seed starting. We started dahlias, stalks, celosia, feverfew, and pincushion flowers, or scabiosa as we call it here. Scabotia, I've heard it called.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to start over with a couple of those flats.
Really?
Because I think that I fried them. I think they were in the greenhouse. It got
too hot.
It got in the high 90s, and I had domes on them.
Oh.
It was like steaming under those domes. I didn't even think about it. I do have, let's see, out of those, I've got some dahlias coming up. The whole flat of stock. The whole flat of stock is up. A lot of the celosia is up. Very few feverfew are up. So I think I'm going to just reseed that flat and put them in here. So it's a more even, cooler temperature, because I think some seeds have a hard time germinating at a really high temperature. So it was one of those things.
You've got a couple things going on in your life.
Yeah, that happens. And even if we abandoned one of our varieties, I'm not going to have enough room for everything anyway. So it might not be a bad thing, but I do want feverfew. So that is a flat that I will probably reseed if I don't see anything in the next little bit. Brooke said, are my Leggy Zenia seedlings doomed to fail? Should I start over? It depends on how leggy they are. What is going on down here? Douglas? There has been many a time, and you know, it's risky, I guess. So take this for what it is. But I will take seedlings like that and I will bury them, like the whole spindly stem right up to where the leaves come out. And I've had lots of them succeed that way. And if you're at a point where you're about ready to abandon them anyway, what are you out, you know?
Sure.
So you might try that and just burying them a little bit deeper. You could just start over and make sure there's stronger light. Zinnias are better off direct seeded in the ground, to be honest. So you could maybe not abandon it. I mean, you could bury those deeper and try to save those and then just save some of your seeds and direct seed outside. It's way easier. Did you get something in your nose? Althea said, what are you going to do with all those geraniums? Time will tell. I think some of them will end up in my parents' driveway pots.
Oh.
I asked my mom, like, are you okay doing a little deadheading? Do you want some geraniums? So she said she did. So they'll be out there. I'll probably give some to your mom. She had a lot of ours from last year that I had started and enjoyed them. And then, you know, there's a lot of planting opportunities around here too. So they might end up some in the east side pots. We're going to put some in the ground. It's just fun to have like this huge abundance of things so that if you've got a big open space that you're not quite ready to plant with permanent stuff, you can pop some annuals in and enjoy the color. And we have enough of all of those varieties to make a big impact somewhere. Alexis said, what is your opinion on wicking mats underneath trays? Would they be a solid option for starting seeds? You know, I used to use, so I have a lot of those from Garner Supply. I don't know what they're called. Seed starting kit or
The Growies?
The Growies seed starting tray, yeah. And they have a water reservoir underneath with a platform, and then the wicking mat is on the platform, and then your seed tray's on top. And I noticed over time, I mean, I did okay for a while with those, where I only had a few up in the plant room before we had a studio. And once I started doing more, I don't know, I just felt like the soil was staying too wet. Especially for things like Lisianthus and straw flowers and those things, paper daisies that don't want to be very wet. I ended up taking a lot of those trays off, and now we do so much out in the greenhouse that I don't want anything sitting in water out there. So I haven't used the wicking mats at all this year. I really want to shift toward paper pots, which we may do over time. We'll see. I don't think it's a bad option. I just think it's something you have to monitor. It's kind of, at first I thought it was kind of like set it and forget it. It's awesome. And then I started to see some things kind of struggle, and then I had to take them off the reservoir, and yeah. Lori Beth Strickland said, what happened with the onions you and Samantha started? I had to give mine a haircut. Mine are so weird. So I did candies, Walla Wallas, and yellow sweet Spanish, Utahs. And the Walla Wallas started to come up, and they're like this tall. Nothing else came up forever. And now I've got a ton of starts in there. Like,
Needed some time.
why? Like, why are the other ones so huge? I usually have very even and very good success with onion starting. So, I mean, it's success because it's a full tray, but they're not anywhere near planting, like ready to be planted out yet. So I'll have to wait a while to get our onions in the ground, which is not normal. Usually I'm doing that around this time of year, but just kind of a weird deal. Miss Caitlin said, do you ever get other critters that sneak into the greenhouse besides the kitties? Not that we know of.
No.
No.
I think the cats keep other things away.
Probably so.
They can be a little territorial. In fact, right now, Russell and
Douglas. Uh-oh. I'm in the crossfire.
these cats.
I don't know.
These two are the ones I like the most.
Really?
Yeah. That Cheddar.
Yeah, Cheddar's he's a very loving cat. I give him lots of pets, but he does ruin things.
It's the spraying.
Yeah, it's gross. I was hoping, because, you know, he showed up to us as a stray, I think. I mean, he just showed up one day and then didn't go away, and we had him fixed. But I think he was old enough to where that pattern, that behavior was already set. And sometimes fixing him will help out in that area, and sometimes it doesn't do anything. And it definitely didn't do anything. And I think it increases every spring, the activity, because it feels like we have more cats show up. And you should see in the cameras at night, like just cats everywhere.
Yeah.
Cats, the random fox, every once in a while, deer.
Yeah.
Sauntering through the property. Anything else? Raccoons.
Yeah.
Neighbor dogs. That's about it. But nothing in the greenhouse.
There's squirrels that run through, but they don't They don't get into anything
No.
or cause any damage.
No.
Okay, we got to get these out.
Tammy said, can you direct sow any of these varieties? I will direct sow zinnias and cosmos, but wondering what others direct sow easily. Of the one feverfew, I might even do that. The other ones, a celosia comes up from seed really easily, but I've never tried stock pincushion flowers or dahlias from seed from direct seeding. And I think most of those will say that transplanting is recommended on the back of the seed packet. Alora K said, probably a dumb question, but I live in Louisiana, and according to the Farmer's Almanac chart, my last frost date is March 7th. I know we get hot quick. Can I just plant the dahlia seeds directly in the ground right now, or is it too late to plant them at all? You should try it. I bet you they will come up very easily. They come up in their trays so quickly. I would say so happily. They are happy when they come up. But it's definitely something to try. Out of all of those, I think that one would be maybe the easiest. Casey said, how warm does it get in your greenhouse? I'm in Louisiana, and even with a vent fan on, it can still get to 100. Two people from Louisiana in a row.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And even with a vent fan on, it can still get to 100 degrees in there. Do you think that can affect my plants in a negative way? Absolutely can.
Ours gets well over 100 in the summer.
In the summertime. Right now, if we don't open the sides and open the doors, it'll get at least 100 or over during the day. And it's like outside yesterday, it was like 68 or 69 degrees. And it would have been cooking stuff in there had I not opened everything. So we go out usually mid-morning. Like I was out there at 10:30ish this morning, and I opened up all the sides and the doors. Keeps airflow, and it keeps it really nice in there. It's still warm, but nice. And we do have fans, so that might help you out if you can get some fans to move some air
Shade
around.
cloth would help too.
Yes.
Lower the temperature.
It really does. If you can throw a piece of shade cloth over the top, definitely helps. And you can get different degrees of shade protect.
Yeah, it's like
sun
percentages.
protection.
I think like 30 and 50 and 75 or 35. Oh, I don't know.
Do 30.
You could probably get any.
I wouldn't do anything with heavy
percentage.
shade, but 30 seems to do a really good job. But it still allows enough light in to keep your plants happy. And my goal is always to have things out of the greenhouse as much as possible during the summer. Like in the middle of summer, our tables, like they'll have maybe a couple of things in there, but not. It's more like the resident plants that we keep in there, the things that just kind of stay in there all the time. Happy news, though, the big avocado tree that looked so crummy is like,
coming back.
Yeah, there's new leaves at the top and there's blooms. The little one, though, I don't think the little one made it. I cut back the dead stuff to just one green stalk, and it hasn't pushed anything. So we'll give it time.
We should try to send it back to fastgrowingtrees.com.
Oh, geez, Aaron.
Get a refund.
They contacted us after.
They were super nice.
They were super nice.
I feel bad. I never responded to them because there's just a million things going on. But they were like super nice, and they were like, "We saw the video," and blah blah.
Yeah, it was very nice. So I'm very thrilled that that big one is coming back. I can't wait to see what it does. But I'm thinking that might be a resident tree in there. I kind of want to protect it. And
I think it'd be fun to
plant stuff in the ground.
Well, yeah. The problem is this greenhouse isn't big enough. It's not tall enough.
Right.
So if you're going to plant things like that in the ground, because that can get like 12 feet tall or
I don't know.
Or more.
It's already really tall.
Yeah. A lot of the like commercial growing operations, they have tall greenhouses, like really tall.
It'd be fun to have one that was just like a walking path throughout with like a little pond and like actually have it be a year-round garden inside. Yeah. Would that be neat?
Well, we have more space.
Yeah, I don't know what that would. It would definitely not be like a Hartley style, but something.
Can you imagine?
No. I mean, yes, but no at the same time.
Well, what do you think that would cost? Like $500,000?
Yeah, it'd be like worth more than our house, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nina said, will those dahlias grow true from seed? I thought they usually do not. I think it depends. It depends on how you treated the flowers. Like a lot of times you'll bag flowers so they can't cross-pollinate with other varieties. If things are out in a big open field and you're collecting seed from a certain variety you want, but it's crossed with something else during the season, then you may not get the same thing if you plant a seed. Usually it's by tuber. You know exactly what you're going to get from a tuber. So I'm guessing people, though, who sell dahlias from seed, like Floret, they're treating their plants properly to where they're collecting seed from varieties they know they're selling. They're selling that variety, so it's got to be true to what they've grown. Next video is these containers will look awesome in about 2 weeks.
They're starting to look better.
They really are. The forsythias are like, some of the blooms are open, but they're not in full like regalia yet. And I have noticed that there's a little bit more color on the pansies, and those will be gorgeous. Once those fill in, the Versailles pots, though, or Persephone garden pots, those are already looking prettier.
Yeah.
Like just more full of color.
I'm excited to get those out in the south garden, the forsythia. I think that'll look really nice once we have those dotted around and have a bunch of yellow in the spring.
And that was the whole thing. I kind of talked through the...
Not South Garden, Dirtland.
Dirtlands. I knew what you meant. I talked through why I chose to put forsythias because I showed the tag. They were $33.99 a piece. They were nice big forsythias. And that adds up really quickly as a centerpiece plant in a pot. But when you're buying them knowing it's something you actually want to plant somewhere else, and you can enjoy them as a spring display and have a very unique look for 1 year, and then plant them out in the garden, then you get 2 uses out of them, which I think is really fun to do. So sometimes it's worth it. And a lot of times I find myself doing that more in spring and fall more than summer. Summer containers are like for your big annuals, super tunias, super beanas, all those kinds of things that get massive, and those things don't winter over. But spring and fall, you can put a lot of fun perennials together that look really pretty, and then you can use them out in the landscape later. I love that. Lori said, love all of your pots. Where do you buy them from? Most of our pots have come from Unique Stone. We've gathered throughout the years, and some are from Henry Studio. Oh,
those are kind of the 2 main ones.
Yeah, those are the 2 main ones. I'm on the hunt for 2 fountains right now. We need 2 fountains.
Yeah.
We need 1 larger fountain and 1, like medium. I just haven't found quite the right thing yet.
Neither of those 2 companies have.
I just haven't like landed on something that.
You gotta have.
Yeah, not yet. I'm on the hunt though. Maya said, how cool, a Saturday video. Yes, we have a lot of projects going on, so you'll probably see that more often this time of year. And then once it gets really hot, we'll probably start backing off a little bit more. But yeah, we're cruising through stuff right now, through projects. So, and we don't want to leave you guys out because there's so much that we do that we want to update you on. And also we want to chronicle for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of a journal of sorts. So kind of nice to have that. I did get out, though, one evening last week. We had finished up dinner, cleaned the kitchen. The kids were happy doing something, and I texted Aaron, I'm sneaking out. I'm going to go I got a gator, and I got all my tools, and I just went outside and worked in the garden, and that does not happen very often, where it's just like, I'm not filming it. I'm by myself, so it's like very peaceful time. And I was out there for a couple hours, just cutting back roses and whatever else I stumbled upon, and it was so nice. I need to do that more.
We were playing basketball.
Yeah, I could hear the dunk, dunk, dunk.
Samantha just runs barefoot around the court. Just like, she's just getting squirrels out.
Yeah, she's got a lot of squirrels.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. So she continues on, Maya does, and says, I just recently had seen a forsythia for the first time at a nursery, and it smells incredible, almost like sweet orange peels. Really? I haven't really noticed that. I'm going to go smell ours after this. Question, have you ever tried growing carnivorous plants? If so, do you have tips on how to grow them? I have a Venus flytrap that I have not killed yet. It's under a grow light. It's very humid in here because of all the seeds starting. It's getting less though. I only am running 2 lights right now, like 2 banks of lights, that's it. And I could probably consolidate to 1 at this point. Everything else is moved to the greenhouse, but I keep it under a grow light. It gets water every single day, and it's in humidity. It's lost a few little leaves, but it's produced new ones. And the kids and I did catch a fly, and it made me feel bad. It's a fly, I know. But we fed a live fly to the plant. There's something about I don't know.
Seems kind of just pretty normal to me.
Yeah, I guess. But maybe if it happened naturally,
There's
but the kids were
flies
into it.
out there.
I know. Still, it made me feel bad. Andrea said, no Biotone. I thought she adds Biotone to everything. Maybe too short a season. Exactly. I don't really add anything I don't add our Biotone or slow release fertilizer into spring containers because the Biotone I'll add into the planting holes when we put it out in the south garden or dirtlands, and then I add a slow release fertilizer for summer planters, but it's heat activated. And so it's really not hot enough consistently enough to make it worth it for spring planters. And I don't want to pull a bunch of it out when I'm pulling out spring plants because I'm just going to put more in for summer. So it seems a little wasteful. Tammy said, my mom had a forsythia and it spread. It was like 30 feet wide. Whoa, how do you keep it contained? Because the roots spread underground. Would love to plant some, but terrified. I'm guessing that your mom probably had a real old variety. And a lot of the new ones do not behave like the old ones do or did.
Well, Proven Winners has like 3 or 4 forsythias that are like, I mean, to me, they look like the exact same plant in 3 sizes.
Yeah, they're really small and then medium and larger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Vero said, do you think about renting the home next door for a few months while you remodel your own home? It would be perfect since you would live comfortably and be able to work on your garden every day with no issue. We talked about that. Our home renovation is out there. It's going to be so big of a home renovation that we need to prepare ourselves, and it's going to take a while to prepare for that. There's just a lot of work that either needs to be done or that we would like to have done, and we would want to do it all at one time. So it's just kind of one fell swoop. What? One fell swoop, and it's just going to be a lot. So we want to. After
seeing how much your parents cost and just the cost of materials, not even labor and things like that. And again, you know, I think a lot of the things, if you're going to remodel, it's like you kind of want to remodel with nicer things. Like, I don't want to go get like the cheapest windows at Home Depot.
Yeah, you want good, nice.
Yeah,
nice
you want
ones.
quality stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to take longer. I'd rather wait.
And it's possible the horse barn will come before the house renovation anyway. So, and then that will put the house renovation out a little bit more. I don't know. I'm totally content with our home. There's a lot of things that are kind of like funny about it, like the glass block shower upstairs and the olive green bathtub insert in one of the bathrooms. And it doesn't bother me. I don't think about it. It doesn't bother me at all. It could use like a lot of things in there, but I'm totally happy with it.
I'll feel a lot better after it gets painted.
I think that is going to improve things a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Oh, and speaking of renovation, I think I saw, and maybe it's included in here, I don't know yet, but my parents' renovation is almost done. So the inside is done, except for they're going to do a little touch up on the floor in a couple of days. And then my mom wants to wait until she has her pictures hung and has a little bit more put together. In fact, the family, we all went over there on Sunday and we had lunch and we moved stuff back in. Moved their furniture back in, moved a bunch of stuff from downstairs upstairs just to get them started and get the big stuff. So Aaron and my brother and my dad did a lot of the heavy hauling. My mom and I, we were working on furniture placement and we put like those little felt things under every single leg everywhere, and it was starting to feel more like home. And I have to be completely honest, like that being my childhood home, seeing how it was how it was my entire childhood destroyed up there in an effort to make it better and more comfortable for all of us. But it was hard for me in the beginning because I just felt like this is my home anymore.
Right.
And while it isn't my home currently, but it always will feel like my home. But now it's seeing the furniture come back in, it changed everything for me. And I was like, okay, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And they still have the pergola going in, which will be, I think he's going to start that week after next. So she wanted, at least for the inside, we will do a full tour of it, but she wanted it to be more put together, which I totally understand. And then she and I are going to put our heads together. We're going to get a drone shot of their little space up there that's left, the garden space, and we're going to come up with a design and share that all with you guys. We're planning on it. Sup said, I only have 1 acre in Melbourne. Melbourne is in Victoria, which is in Australia. I garden all day, every day. You said back in the day that you'd move once Benjamin started school. Is that still the case? We thought about it.
We never said we would move.
We talked about the possibility. We've always talked about possibilities because there's more options for schools toward the Boise area than there is right where we are, which Boise is about 45 minutes to an hour away, depending on traffic. So we had tossed around the possibility, but I don't think we will. Next video is early spring cut flower arrangements from the garden. And I just went around and gathered up a bucket full of beautiful spring stuff, and I limited myself to no greenhouse blooms. There's tons of beautiful stuff in the greenhouse right now, but I thought, no, I would just want to get stuff that's actually growing out in the garden. And see what we can put together. My parents were coming over that evening to stay with the kids. Aaron and I got away just for one night to Boise, and yeah, I just wanted to put a couple of flower arrangements next to the bed they were going to stay in, and it was just a fun project. Beverly said, why do my hellebores flop within a day in the vase? Thank you and the entire crew for your invaluable content. That'll happen occasionally with mine, but not super often. I know some people sear the bottoms of the stem. Some people cut up the stem. I usually just do kind of and I didn't talk about it in the video, maybe I should have, but I do a very angled cut on those stems, and they seem to do okay. Steven said, my wife and I have not seen the purple Lenton Rose. Could you share the different varieties that you use today? Oh boy. Could I share the varieties?
Why don't you call it a Lenton Rose instead of a Hellebor? Oh. Lenton Rose sounds so much
sound better.
More pleasant.
I don't know.
Because like Hella and Bor.
When
like
I was putting out, ordering and putting out plants, those were Hellebors. That's how you order them. Their name. Not the common name, but the botanical name. Helleborus. Yeah, it's a kind of a crummy name for how pretty that plant is. And I would have to go root around and look for tags. Some of them were here when we moved in, and then we added a ton more, and I tried to keep tags by every single one of them. I have none of them memorized. Maybe one of these days I'll map it out. Karen said, where did you get the vase cases? They are so pretty. Oh, I ordered those. Did I get those at Wayfair? Did I order those? I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
And it was one of those purchases. I remember the chair I was sitting in, and I remember, you were still asleep, and I think Benjamin was still asleep. And I was downstairs drinking my coffee by myself, and I just got this I'm going to treat myself. And I'm going to order these 2 cases because I don't think they were super cheap, but I knew that they would be beautiful in there, and they would be something that I would use forever. They weren't extravagant, but they seemed, I don't know. I mean, I shopped at thrift stores for years. Yeah. For years. And so I'm a little off on, knowing what
things should cost.
Yeah. And so I remember pulling the trigger on those and being like, I'm going to get those.
Well, and furniture can be like a total racket too sometimes.
It can. Yeah, you never know. It was kind of like our dining table. I waited 5 years to buy that dining table, and it's the best thing ever. I love that table. Every time I look at it, I love it.
It's a bad table to work at though.
Why?
The edge of it digs into your wrists, and maybe my height or something. I don't know.
You need to get yourself some little pads.
Yeah, I need a little.
I'm at that table all the time.
Huh.
A lot. Probably more than you.
Yeah, you are for sure.
Yeah.
I tried editing there for a while, and it was not good.
Well, it's my table.
I do like the table though, and it's great for its intended purpose, dining. Yeah. But if I'm there for 2 or 3 hours, then I get a little bit of fatigue.
Angela said, I wish we could see the progress again on your parents' remodel. How's it coming? Are they getting close to moving in? Just talked about that. C. Marlowe said, I found Pinka Blue pulmonaria, but nothing for Pinka DOT because it's called Pinka Blue. And I've been calling it Pinka DOT very strongly. I've been saying this is Pinka DOT longwort.
But you were wrong.
I swear they started out with that name and changed it. Do you think that's possible?
Oh, it's possible, yeah.
Because, where would I have got that? Pinka DOT. It's like polka dot.
Well, remember there was that one arborvitae that they changed a year or 2 ago?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't it called Tater Tot?
Yeah, and now it's...
Tiny Tot?
Tiny Tot, yeah.
Or maybe it went from Tiny Tot to Tater Tot.
Okay, I'm looking back in my emails. Pinka DOT is a phlox. I wonder if I got my wires crossed. Pinka DOT. Opening act Pinka DOT phlox. So that is a plant, but it is not a lungwort. It's still in the Proven Wonders collection, though. So I wasn't wildly off-ish. So it is Pinka Blue, and it is one I highly recommend. We stumble upon those plants occasionally that just
What's the other lungwort that you like, or that we have?
Spot On.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty, but it's not performing
like
Pinka Blue. And maybe it'll be good to have staggered blooms. So Pinka Blue will come out earlier, and then the Spot On maybe will bloom a little bit later. And so maybe that'll be good for succession blooms. But that Pinka Blue is just stunning right now. Valley said, how much of your ideas are regulated by your manager of YouTube? You seem to be exactly in sync with the main screen mediums of television. What are the odds? The names of the plants that you choose are always telltale signs. A lot of witchery items. What is the reason for your obedience to your handlers? This is the weirdest comment. Lungwort, really? Frog, reptilian, really? Believe it, but you are very obvious in who you seem to serve. Disappointing.
Whoa, that's funny.
That is a great comment. Thank you for that. I need to quit serving the masters.
Yes.
And Drake said, what color are those bedroom walls and trim? They are in the color McKenna White, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same color. It's a special blend that our painters, they're the McKenna and Sons. McKenna White is like a very popular white in our area. So our barn is painted that, the chicken coop is painted that, and they're painting the house. It'll look just like the other one, but it's a very pleasing color of white. And so we used that on the bottom molding in the bedroom. And then I picked out a different color for the top initially, but it looked too like beige. And I just wasn't digging it. And I just thought, let's just get it back to white. And I kind of love it. I've never been a white wall lover unless it's all molding, which I think we're going to go heavy on when we do our renovation. There'll be a ton of molding in the house. So I don't know. I just liked how light and airy it made the room feel. It felt peaceful to me. So eventually we might come in with a color or not. I don't know. I just really enjoy it.
I like white.
Yeah. I think it just kind of depends on what you pair with it too. I need more pictures in that room, but those are a little hard for me to find. They are always hard for me to find. Next video was pruning fruit trees and a bulb update in the cut flower garden. So we got out there and just did our thing. We do it every year. We get out there to the trees and you can kind of see progression from year to year. This was year 4, going into the 4th year for some of the trees. We did a flashback to what it looked like when we planted those out there 3 years ago, and wildly different.
Yeah.
I love seeing those flashbacks because it makes me feel like, you know, our list may be long of little jobs we want to get done, but look at it.
We've made a lot of progress.
Yeah. I mean, and I even talk about how one day, I want that more cozy room feel in the garden, and we'll get there. We've planted so many evergreens and trees and things that get large that will make it to where that loop out there, you will not be able to even see that loop one day. But we'll get there. Like, you can kind of see it. Just in the 3 years since we started planting out there, how far it has come. Alexandra said, thank you for your video. As always, very helpful. Question, when will you fertilize the fruit trees, and can you show us how you do it? Were we planning on doing that tomorrow, or we're doing it soon?
Let's do it tomorrow.
Fertilizing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Sherry Lonergan said, I bought 2 Bartlett pear trees last year. I had 5 flowers, the other nothing. No fruit that year. Do I need to buy a different pear variety for pollination? Yes. Like an Anjou or something like that, Bartletts do need cross-pollination in order to produce fruit. Diane said, those branches you cut off, can they be put in a vase and forced for blossoms? Yes, they can be. Absolutely. Renu said, anybody here remember what is the climbing rose on the fence? Yes. Does anybody remember? Because I don't remember. It's pink. And I don't know if I planted it in a video or not. I guess I could go back and look. But I do not remember the name of that one. Jeannie said, so after you showed trimming the leader branch in the youngest tree, did you clean your pruners before moving around? I'm not very good about cleaning between plants. I did remember most, like 99% of the time that day, to clean my pruners. And a lot of that gets cut out if it's redundant or repetitive. And I know that's maybe a little bit, makes it lacking to show that it's
annoying to watch.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I did forget to clean the big loppers one time between big cuts. But then I started cleaning those as well. Growing in the Garden said, what is your favorite fruit tree? I would say the Flavor Top Nectarine is amazing. It's like a better peach.
Not the Bradford pear?
No, that is not a fruit tree.
Could be.
That's like is it an invasive tree?
I
or
think
is
so.
it, yeah, it's Aaron's tree joke every time. Every time we see a tree, like, what tree is that? Probably a Bradford pear.
Could be.
And we have those in our area.
No, I don't think so.
I also like the Perfection apricot quite a lot. Okay, last video for this week was planting spring crops. The raised beds are full, and they are. I'm so excited about it. We planted peas, 2 different varieties. We planted carrots, broccoli that we did in the winter sowing. We planted 2 different varieties of cabbage, Utah tall celery, cilantro, spinach. I think that kind of summed it up because there's 4 beds already full of garlic in there. So we just maxed the rest of them out. Sandra said, couldn't you plant lettuce/greens under the trellis with the peas? You could, but then it would be kind of hard to get in there to harvest it. You could maybe plant it around the perimeter, and I've done that before, but this time I just wanted to keep things like kind of to themselves. I've got a couple of anemone corms. We planted ranunculus yesterday, which you'll probably have seen that video by the time this one goes out. But I only ended up with a few ranunculus corms that made it out from the greenhouse. The other corms just rotted. I think they just stayed too wet. So I'm going to pop those in where the bachelor's buttons are and just let that be a little flower area. So I might tuck a few little things in there, but largely I just wanted to have one crop in one section. Judy said, have you always planted celery? I don't remember seeing you planted before. I think I planted it year before last. Does real well here. Really well. Marley Smith said, I was wondering, have you ever thought to add boards to the side of the raised beds to make them taller, or would you just replace the beds completely? We have thought about that. And we've talked about even moving that space at some point. And I know it's like this super charming, quaint little space, but it would be nice one day. Like, I'm just priming you guys for the possibility that it could happen. We have all this space behind the barn where we could create maybe a walled sort of situation, and make the beds higher so they're really comfortable to work in. And I can see the benefits of that now, like after lots of years of gardening.
We also have here. Okay, I'm going to interrupt for a moment. That tree might need to come out in front of the kitchen, the locust tree. And I think that you could have a really small, like quaint kind of looking garden right there too. That's a kitchen garden.
Right out the kitchen door.
Right out the kitchen door.
So that's another possibility we've talked about.
I don't know. I think it does seem a little redundant to have the vegetable garden here, like the raised bed vegetable garden, but then also have the cut flower garden, which you grow vegetables out there.
Yeah. And we've got the space back here that we're trying to think through some ideas. Also, you've always wanted trees, like to continue on the weeping willow right there, and then to maybe even widen out like the driveway area, because it's always been a little bit narrow there. It's where we park our cars. And then plant some nice big evergreens and kind of have like a mixed border that kind of goes into the west side garden. And it's just something we've talked about, because gardens evolve, and I don't ever want to get stuck in something like when we could do something even better.
You start looking at, I always like to just take a step back, because it's like, okay, we kind of need to replace the raised beds here soon.
That's the other thing.
We want taller ones.
And the arbors under the Colette roses are falling apart.
Yeah.
They're like absolutely falling apart. And so I don't think I'll do wood again on something like that. I think I would just stick with metal. So there's that. There's all those like repair things that you need to do. And you're like, if we have to replace all the boards on these raised beds, maybe we just create
the place where we want them to replace them?
Right. We're not going to replace it anytime, like real soon, obviously. I mean, I'm planting up the beds, but we've just talked about all the different possibilities. And we do that about every area of our garden, like the service road that runs along our neighbors' houses on the west side of the south garden. We've talked about getting rid of the service road. Like, could we get away with not having a service road? Because you can access everything from other directions, so that we could plant that up heavier and create a bigger border right there. So we talk about all kinds of stuff all the time. Well,
I think one of the reasons that has been a topic, like it's been a redundant topic that you and I have talked about, is that, the houses are right there, and then that they're building a house on the corner lot. Yeah. And, did you see where the house is?
Yeah.
It's like
it's
5-6 feet from it's like whatever the minimum distance is from the lot line, that's what they built. And the arbs that we planted, the North Poles are great, but I think they only get like 15 feet max. In our area, they might get a little taller. But, there's also gaps between them. It's not like a perfect hedge. It is from the side, but when you look straight on, it's not. So, yeah, having stuff that would get taller might be kind of nice to just, I don't know. I think when you have more space, being able to block yourself off from neighbors, I love that. Well, and I'm a big fan of trees anyway.
Yeah. Well, we think about too, and I don't think a lot of other people think about it, but every time we put up something like the high tunnels, I think about everybody else's view.
Yeah.
I don't know that actually...
I don't think anybody else thinks about that.
I don't think so, and that's so sad. But, because we're thinking of moving high tunnels back behind the barn, but we do have neighbors back there, so we're going to go really hard on cultivating like a really nice mixed border back there on a berm, so there'll already be like kind of lifted.
But I wonder what they think of that. I wonder what the neighbors...
Like if they even care.
Well, yeah, I wonder if they might see a mixed border and be like, oh, geez, you just blocked off the view. Like they would see that as like a really negative thing.
Oh, sure.
Like, because people value different things in their life.
Yeah.
And like we value privacy and having trees and peace and like not blaring music loud and stuff like that.
Not bouncing a basketball after 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah, but everybody values different things. And so, we might put up that hedge and they might be like,
not
what
Gary
a bummer.
And Val.
No. Yeah.
No, we've got really good neighbors, and I don't think we communicate with all of them. And I do, if we have anything big going on, like anything that's going to make a lot of noise for an hour, like a tree coming down or Like when the drone was releasing the predatory mites, I texted all of our neighbors, like, there's a great big drone up in the air. Don't freak out. It's not recording anything. It's just applying some biologicals to our garden, and explained all of that so everybody knew what was going on, because I would appreciate that too. Like if something's going on, because instead of being like, what are they doing? You know, it's just nice to know. I need a house with like a lot of border, like a lot of space with the house in the middle.
Let's do it. Let's buy 1,000 acres.
Okay, Shanna said, I followed you guys for years and I love your area. Uncle had a hay farm just north in Haines. Question, what do you guys do for fuel for the tractor? I've never noticed an above ground red diesel tank. Does Aaron get in it and drive it down the road to the station?
No, we don't use the tractor enough to where we just get away with the 5-gallon tanks. What do you call those?
Gas can.
Yeah.
There you go. Sarah said, what kind of fertilizer are you using in your garden planting? Biotone starter fertilizer. And then once I get all the drip replaced to drip tape, which I'm going to do here soon, I will top all of it, everything with land and sea compost.
Gourmet compost.
Is it gourmet?
Yeah.
Is that what it says on the bag? Oh, how funny. Sonia said, I love your expanding bamboo trellis. Brilliant. Where can I get some? I think you can order those online. You get them at my parents' garden center. If you are local, they
Tell
have
Ken
them.
to get them in the store.
Yeah, that's where I picked mine up. It'd be a weird thing to ship.
Yeah, a lot of things are weird to ship.
Yeah.
And a lot of garden items can be difficult.
Yeah.
Like trying to ship a shovel or something, like a full-size shovel. That's tough.
That is tough. Josh and Shelby said, you mentioned having to replace the drip tube once or twice a year because of your hard water. Is it the same with the drip tape? Not quite the same. It does plug occasionally, but like it's different. The drip holes are up.
Yeah.
You face those up so that any sediment that's going through the lines, and it feels wrong. It feels like you should face all emitters down because that's where you want the water to go. But what it does is that you've got your drip tape and the water comes up and it just goes over the sides and goes right to the soil. But any sediment in that line will sink to the bottom instead of plugging a hole. Like if the hole was on the bottom, that sediment would sink and plug the hole.
It just gets pushed to the end. So if you have
which I showed you in the ranunculus video, we looked at the enders because I reused all of the couplers from the old drip tape and they were just full of white stuff. Yeah. And I was able to just put a hose on the end and it shot everything out and cleaned them out completely.
We need to get away from using the 1/4-inch drip tape because that plugs up with sediment really quickly.
I don't know what else to do in pots though. I think pots might be the only place where we still continue to use that.
Yeah.
Not another good option, really. Unless you do individual emitters, but even then those will plug.
Right. Well, those, they can plug. And then also getting it, the nice part about the drip tube, the 1/4-inch drip tube, is that there's a bunch of emitters.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like saturating the whole thing. You don't have to run them for as long.
Right. Full coverage instead of like having it soak out.
If you put like 3 emitters in a larger pot,
Yeah.
then you feel like you're missing spots.
Yeah. And that is it, you guys, for today's recap video. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you for watching the videos. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.